I never thought I'd bury my husband in a plot next to the family dog. But there I was, shovel in hand, digging under the cover of a Georgia thunderstorm. The kind that turns red clay to sucking mud and drowns out screams. My son Jack's face flashed in my mind, not the grown man he was now, but the wide-eyed boy who'd begged me to promise we'd always keep secrets between us. And Emily, his wife, the one who'd just spat venom at me like I was the devil incarnate? She had no idea the grave I was digging wasn't just for Dad's bones, but for every lie we'd all swallowed whole. As lightning cracked the sky, I whispered to the earth, "This is for you,
Jack."
and for me, finally free. That was 6 months ago. But the storm started long before. Back when Emily first crossed our threshold like a fox in a henhouse. All sharp smiles and sharper ambitions. Jack brought her home to our rambling split level in Alpharetta. The one I'd clawed my way into after years of scraping by in trailer parks and waitressing shifts that left my feet bleeding.
"Mom."
"Meet Emily," he'd said, beaming like he'd won the lottery. She was everything I wasn't. Sleek blonde bob, yoga-toned arms, a laugh that tinkled like champagne flutes at a junior league mixer. Born and bred in Buckhead, old Atlanta money that whispered rather than shouted. I shook her hand, felt the cool diamond on her finger, his grandmother's ring, the one I'd pawned once to pay for his braces, and wondered why it suddenly felt like a noose. We played nice at first. Sunday barbecues on the deck, where I'd grill ribs slathered in sweet baby rays, and she'd nibble kale salads, cooing about farm-to-table ethics while eyeing my Tupperware collection like it was radioactive. Jack was smitten, blind to the way her eyes lingered on our modest bank statements or how she'd accidentally bump into my jewelry box, fingers grazing the locket with Dad's photo inside. Dad, Tom Hargrove, the man who'd built our life on a foundation of smoke and mirrors. Mechanic by day, bookie by night, running underground poker games in the back of his garage until the feds came knocking one humid July. I took the fall for him back then, perjuring myself in court to say the ledgers were mine. A side hustle from selling Avon. 5 years in Fulton County Women's Correctional, where the roaches were bolder than the guards and the nights echoed with women's regrets. Tom got off with probation, raised Jack alone, or so the story went, while I rotted for love, for family, for the lie that we'd beat the system. Emily sniffed it out early, like a bloodhound on a scent. It started with innocent questions. "Maya, how did you and Tom meet?"
"He seems so."
"Resourceful." Then digs. "Jack never mentions your time away." Must have been tough. Starting over. By the wedding, a lavish affair at the Biltmore estate, her parents footing the bill, I caught her rifling through my guest room drawer. The one with Tom's old letters. Yellowed confessions I'd burned, but couldn't quite let go. "Just looking for tissue," she lied, her cheeks flushing pinker than the peonies in her bouquet. Jack laughed it off, called her curious, but I saw the calculation in her eyes, the way she filed away every crack in our facade. The disgust boiled over a year into their marriage. At Thanksgiving dinner in our dining room, the turkey carved and the wine poured like blood from a vein. Jack was late from the office, some tech startup in Midtown where he coded apps for rich folks' smart fridges, and Emily and I were alone, the air thick with the scent of sage and unspoken barbs. She'd been needling me all week, texts about boundaries, hints that I was overstepping by babysitting their golden retriever when they jetted to Napa. "Your family,
Maya."
"But let's keep it light," she'd said over coffee, her nails drumming the Starbucks cup like Morse code for Get Lost. I was clearing plates when she cornered me by the sink, her voice a hiss that could curdle milk. "I've been disgusted with you since day one." The words landed like a slap. Her face twisted in that righteous fury only Southern belles perfect. You think I don't know? The lies. The prison stint. Covering for Tom's dirty little empire? Jack deserves better than a felon for a mother-in-law. You're poison.
Maya.
A walking, talking reminder of why this family was one bad bet from the gutter. I didn't flinch. Didn't raise my voice. Just turned off the faucet. Dried my hands on a dish towel embroidered with acorns, a gift from her. Ironic now, and smiled. Calm as the eye of a hurricane. Disgust is a strong word. Emily. Takes one to know one.
Don't it?
Her eyes widened, pupils dilating like she'd been caught mid-theft. Because she had.
Oh. She had.
That smile? It wasn't forgiveness. It was the first crack in the dam I'd built around my rage. The one that had held back 20 years of swallowed bile.
See.
While Emily played the perfect wife, posting blessed selfies from Pilates classes and charity galas, I'd been watching. Quietly. Methodically. The way a spider spins silk in the corner of a sunlit room. I'd hired a PI after the wedding, old habit from Tom's days, when enemies lurked in every shadow. Cost me my Roth IRA, but worth every penny when the dossier landed in my P.O. box. Photos of Emily in a midtown loft. Not with Jack, but with his boss, a venture capitalist named Derek Voss, twice her age and 3 times as connected. Late nights at the office, receipts for La Grata dinners Jack thought were client schmoozes. And deeper, wire transfers from Voss to Emily's Consulting LLC, the one she'd started 6 months before meeting Jack.
Bait.
All of it. A ladder climber in Louboutins, seducing her way up the corporate food chain, with my boy as the unwitting rung. But the real gut punch? The secret she'd buried deeper than Tom's gambling debts. Emily wasn't just cheating, she was laundering. Voss's firm was knee-deep in crypto scams, Ponzi schemes dressed up as blockchain miracles. And Emily? She'd funneled dirty money through Jack's startup, code he'd written blind, thinking it was legit seed funding. If the feds connected the dots, Jack wouldn't just lose his job. He'd lose everything, his freedom, his name, the life we'd scraped together from ashes. I could have told him then. Over pumpkin pie. Watched her crumble like overbaked crust. But revenge isn't a sprint, it's a marathon through Kadzuthic woods, where every step sinks you deeper.
No.
I smiled because I knew Emily's disgust was her fear talking. Fear that I'd unravel her web before she could spin mine into oblivion. And as Jack walked in, oblivious, kissing her cheek with cranberry sauce still on his lips, I raised my glass. To family, I toasted. May the truth set us free. The weeks after Thanksgiving blurred into a haze of passive-aggressive texts and strained family Zooms. Emily doubled down, her barbs sharper, like she was testing how much I could take before I snapped. Jack and I are thinking of starting fresh, maybe a place in Decatur. Away from complications. Translation. Away from me. The complication with a rap sheet longer than her designer tote. Jack hemmed and hawed, caught in the crossfire. His text to me full of apologies. Mom.
She's stressed.
Work stuff. I played the doting mother-in-law, dropping off casseroles and forgetting to mention the Voss photos tucked in my hope chest. Underneath, I plotted. Revenge. In the American South, isn't fireworks and fanfare, it's slow poison in sweet tea. The kind that kills without a trace. I started small, anonymous tips to Voss's competitors. Whispers on Glassdoor about ethical lapses in his firm. Nothing that touched Emily directly yet, but enough to make Derek sweat. His calls to her spiking from my burner phone logs. She grew edgier, snapping at Jack over burnt toast, her perfect facade cracking like Georgia drought soil. Christmas came like a bad sequel. Snow flurries dusting the magnolias outside her house while inside. Tensions simmered hotter than mulled wine. Emily insisted on hosting her parents' lake house in Roswell. All gleaming quartz counters and walls of windows overlooking Lake Lanier, where bodies from old sins still bobbed to the surface after storms. I arrived early, bearing pecan pie and a USB drive hidden in my purse. Its files a digital guillotine, bank statements, emails, even a grainy video from the PI of Emily and Voss in that loft. Her laughter echoing like shattered glass. The tree twinkled with ornaments Jack and I had made from popsicle sticks in his Cub Scout days. Cheap, handmade, a stark contrast to her Waterford crystal baubles. Dinner was a minefield. Her father, a retired Delta exec with a drawl like molasses, droned on about stock tips. Her mother tittered about sorority sisters. Emily sat ramrod straight, her fork scraping china like nails on a chalkboard. Jack, bless him, tried to bridge the gap, recounting office anecdotes that made her eyes narrow, stories of team building, retreats where she'd vanished for hours. After dessert, as the men retired to the den for football, Falcons versus Saints, a bloodbath on both ends, I cornered her in the kitchen. Emily,
Darlin',
we need to talk. She whirled, dish towel twisted in her fists, her blonde roots showing dark like exposed lies. Not now, Maya. Not ever. I held up the USB, dangling it like a carrot to a starving mule. This says otherwise. Your little side gig with Derek? The money trail leading straight to Jack's code? It's all here. One click to the DOJ, and poof, your golden life turns to fool's pyrite. Her face drained of color, lips parting in a gasp that was half horror, half calculation. You wouldn't. You're bluffing. A con like you? Jack would never believe. Believe what? That his wife is playing him like a fiddle in a hoedown? Or that she's willing to drag him down to keep her manicure funded? I stepped closer, voice low, the hiss of the dishwasher masking our words. I've carried worse secrets, girl. Lied to judges. Buried bodies, figuratively. Mostly. What's one more email to the right agent? She lunged then. Not with fists, but words. A torrent of venom that sprayed like raid on roaches. You think you're better? You let Tom ruin lives, addicts in debt, family shattered, while you played the martyr. I know about the widow who OD'd after he cleaned her out. You covered that too, didn't you? Hypocrite. I'll tell Jack everything. Paint you as the monster you are. I laughed, a dry cackle that echoed off the Sub-Zero fridge.
do it.
Tell him how his daddy's ghost paid for his Ivy League tuition. Tell him how I scrubbed blood from our garage floor after Tom's accidents. But leave out how you're the one signing his death warrant now. Her eyes darted to the doorway, where shadows flickered. Jack. Maybe. Or her father, drawn by the raised voices. I pocketed the drive, my smile returning, serene as a magnolia in bloom. Merry Christmas, Emily. Sleep tight. That night, as fireworks popped over the lake, illegal ones smuggled from South Carolina, I lay awake in the guest room, the USB under my pillow like a talisman. Revenge tasted like bourbon, smooth at first, then a burn that hollowed you out. But I wasn't done. The twist was coming. The one that would split loyalties like kudzu vines choking an oak. Emily thought she held the cards. But I'd been dealing from the bottom since the day she said, "I do." The new year slunk in like a hangover. All regret and fuzzy edges. But for me, it sharpened everything into razor wire. Jack called the morning after New Year's. His voice thick with confetti and too much champagne.
Mom.
Emily's.
Off.
Keeps canceling plans. Staring at her phone like it's a bomb. I murmured sympathies. The good Southern mama. While inside, gears ground like a V8 engine revving for the drag strip. Give her space. Sugar. Marriage is a two-way street. Sometimes you gotta let MU turn. But space was the last thing I gave her. I escalated. Subtle as kudzu. Mailed Voss an unmarked envelope. Printouts of Emily's transfers. Annotated with Jack's name circled in red Sharpie. Is this how you vet partners? No return address. Postmarked from Chattanooga to muddy the trail. Then, a burner email to Jack's HR, concerned colleague, rumors of financial irregularities in project funding. Check the missus. Nothing overt. Just enough smoke to choke the room. Emily retaliated fast. A viper's strike. Showed up at my door mid-January. Unannounced. Her Mercedes idling in the driveway like a getaway car. Rain lashed the gutters, turning the world gray as her cashmere sweater. "We need to end this," she said, pushing past me into the foyer, dripping on the Persian runner Tom had won in a fixed game. Her eyes were red-rimmed. Not from crying. Emily didn't cry. She calculated, but from sleepless nights. I reckoned. And what? Exactly? I poured us coffee in the breakfast nook. Black as midnight for me. Oat milk latte for her, because God forbid dairy touch those cheekbones. She snatched the mug, slamming it down so foam sloshed like sea spume. Your witch hunt. Derek's furious, threatening lawsuits. Audits. Jack's getting sidelined at work. Whispers about conflicts. This is you, isn't it? Poisoning everything. I sip slow, letting the steam curl between us like a truce flag. Poison?
Darlin'.
That's your department. But if we're confessing, let's air it all. Tom's empire? It funded Jack's dreams, college. That startup seed. Without my lies, he'd be flipping burgers in Duluth, not coding in a high-rise. You're building sandcastles on stolen sand. Her laugh was brittle, like autumn leaves under tires. Stolen? Try survival. My folks cut me off after the divorce, said I was too wild. Voss was a lifeline. Jack the cherry on top. Harmless fun until you relic, decided to play God. She leaned in, breath minty with desperation. What do you want? Money? The house? Name it. And it's yours. Just stop. Tempting. That offer. A buyout from the life I'd clawed for. But revenge isn't cash. It's the slow unraveling.
Tete be tete.
Until the sweater's just rags. What I want, I said, voice steady as a preacher's sermon, is for you to feel what I felt. That moment in the courtroom. Tom walking free while cuffs bit my wrists. The nights in my cell, wondering if Jack even remembered my face. You think disgust is bad? Try betrayal from the man you loved. She recoiled. But not from horror, from recognition. Because Emily wasn't just a climber. She was me. 20 years younger. Sharper edges. You don't know betrayal, she spat. Derek promised partnership, equity.
Power.
Now he's ghosting. Blaming me for leaks. And Jack. God. Jack, Thinks I'm cracking under pressure. If he knew. If he knew what? Jack's voice from the hallway. Soft as a footfall on carpet. He'd let himself in with his key. The one I'd given him at birth. Symbol of doors always open. Emily froze. Porcelain cracking. I schooled my face to concern. The USB burning a hole in my pocket upstairs. He stepped in. Ty askew from a day at the grind. Eyes flicking between us like a referee at a cage fight. Knew what?
Ain't,
Mom. The air thickened. Rain drumming a dirge on the roof. Emily recovered first. All honey and hurt. Nothing.
babe. Just.
Girl talk. Maya's been a rock. Really. But Jack wasn't blind anymore. Not after the HR email. The sidelong glances at work. Bullshit. I've seen the statements, the money from Derek's firm. And Mom, why won't you talk about Dad's past? Emily says it's eating you up. But I need the truth. All of it. There it was. The fracture line. I could have dumped the dossier. Watched her drown in her own duplicity. But the twist I'd planned? It wasn't destruction. It was detonation. Truth. Jack.
All right.
Tom was a crook bookie. Loan shark. The works. I covered for him because I loved him. Because without those wins, we starved. Prison? My choice. Your future? Bought with dirty dollars. His face crumpled. Boyman torn between idols toppled. Emily watched, triumphant flicker in her eyes, until I turned to her. But you, Emily, you're laundering Voss's scams through his code.
Million.
Funneled clean. One whistle. And he's not just fired. You both go down. Jack staggered back. Hand to his mouth like he'd tasted rot.
Ain't.
Is this true? She crumpled then. Tears real, for once. Spilling over as she clutched a sleeve. It started small.
Jack.
To help us, the down payment. The trips. Derek said it was victimless. Blockchain magic. I never meant. Liar, he roared. The sound raw. Un-Jack-like. But instead of storming out, he wheeled on me. And you knew? Knew, and let it fester? What kind of mother? The kind who protects her own. I cut in. Voice steel. Like I protected you from Tom's shadows. Emily's poison would have killed your dreams outright. The room spun into chaos. Accusations flying like buckshot. Emily sobbing about redemption. Jack pacing with fists clenched. Me standing still as the eye. Smiling that damn smile again. In the end, he chose sort of. Packed a bag for his old room at my place. Left Emily at the lake house with her ghosts. I need time, he muttered. Door slamming like a gavel. She glared at me through tears. Whispering, this isn't over. You'll pay.
Oh.
But it was far from over. Because the real hook, the one that'd gut punch us all, was the letter I'd found in Tom's effects months back. Not just confessions, but proof. Emily's father, the Delta exec, wasn't old money. He was Tom's silent partner, laundering airline perks through poker pots. The widow who OD'd, her husband worked for him, suicided after debts. Emily wasn't climbing, she was circling back to the sins she'd fled. I hadn't told Jack yet. That bomb? For the finale. Spring unfurled in Atlanta like a bad joke, azaleas blooming blood red. Pollen choking the air. Everything pretty on the surface while rot festered below. Jack holed up in my spare room. A ghost in flannel. Coding freelance gigs from his laptop while avoiding mirrors. Emily bombarded us with calls, voicemails laced with pleas. Then rage. Then silence that screamed louder than any storm. Give her time, I'd tell him over microwave burritos. But inside, I itched to drop the hammer, to reveal how deep the rot ran. Boss made his move first. The coward. A process server at my door one muggy Tuesday. Papers fluttering like Confederate flags in surrender. Defamation suit. Millions in damages for sabotaging his business. Emily's doing. No doubt. Her lawyer daddy pulling strings. I laughed in the guy's face. Signed nothing. And called my old cellmate's brother, a fixer in East Atlanta who owed me for smuggling commissary smokes. Make it go away, I said. By Friday, Voss's car had mysterious brake issues. His wife getting anonymous IRS tips on offshore accounts.
Tit for tat.
Southern style. Jack cracked eventually. Mid-April. During a Braves game on TV, Chipper Jones reruns. Nostalgia as bomb. Mom, why didn't you fight, back then, with Dad?
Or now?
With her. His eyes. Tom's eyes. Bored into me over Coors Lights. I set down my bottle. The condensation pooling like sweat on a guilty brow. Fighting's for fools without stakes. Jack. I fought by surviving for you. Emily? She's fighting for herself. Difference is, I know when to fold. He didn't buy it. Not fully. Started digging. Old bank apps and email archives. Piecing together the laundering like a jigsaw from hell. Found the transfers. The shell companies. We have to go to the cops, he said one night. Face gaunt under the kitchen fluorescence. Expose it all, Voss. Emily. Even. Dad stuff. My heart stuttered. Expose Tom? That'd exhume skeletons I'd buried deeper than his grave. But Jack's resolve was iron now, forged in betrayal's fire.
Son.
That road leads to ruins. For all of us. He shook his head, grabbed his keys. Not anymore. I'm done protecting ghosts. He filed the report anonymously. From a midtown precinct, USB cloned and dropped like contraband. The feds moved fast, raids on Voss's penthouse. Subpoenas raining like April showers. Emily called that night. Voice shattered glass. You happy now? Derek's lawyered up. Blaming me. My father's involved, some old crap with Tom. Jack's report? It dragged everything up. We're ruined. Maya. Because of you. Me? I echoed, cradling the phone like a grenade. You lit the fuse.
Girl.
Now watch it burn. But as I hung up, doubt wormed in. Had I pushed too far? Jack's face, hollowed by truth, haunted my dreams. Revenge was sweet. All right. But it left a mouthful of ash. The climax hit like a freight train on a foggy morning. Mayday irony, a family summit at neutral ground. Emily's insistence. Her parents' lake house again. Now a tomb of unpacked boxes and for sale signs. Jack arrived first. Suit crisp as resolve. I followed in my old Taurus. The one Tom had hot-wired back in '98. Emily waited on the deck. Gaunt in yoga pants. No makeup to mask the bruise of sleeplessness. Her father hovered inside, scotch in hand, mother fluttering like a moth to flame. We gathered in the living room, lake view mocking us with serenity. Emily started. Script memorized. Jack. I messed up. The money. Derek, it was stupid. But I did it for us. Your mom's poison. Twisting it all. Jack flinched, but held her gaze. Evidence says otherwise.
Eminencia.
The ledgers. The lies. Then her father cleared his throat. Drawl heavy.
Son.
Let's talk brass tacks. Tom's old games? I bankrolled a few. Kept the lights on for Maya here after she served her time. The room iced over. Jack whipped to me. You knew.
Not all, I lied.
Pulse thundering. But Emily pounced, waving a manila envelope, Tom's letters. The ones she'd stolen. She knew enough. Covered for him. For Daddy's investments. That widow. Her debt was ours, repossessed after Tom called it in. Maya's hands aren't clean. She's the architect. Chaos erupted, Jack shouting. Emily sobbing. Her mother wailing about legacies. I stood, the calm eroding, and pulled my ace, the letter. Tom's scrawled confession from his deathbed, hidden in my bra like contraband. Read it, I said, thrusting it at Jack. Tom wrote it for you. Emily's daddy wasn't partner. He was puppet master. Used Tom to launder flight manifests, smuggling cash on Delta jets. The widow, she found out, threatened to talk.
Tom handled it.
I buried the evidence because your grandfather on her side asked me to. For family peace. Jack scanned the pages. Face ashen. Emily's father lunged. That's forgery, but Jack's eyes hardened. DNA on the paper matches Dad's samples. It's real. He turned to Emily, voice breaking. You knew about Grandpa? She crumpled, nodding through tears. He told me last year. Said it was ancient history, that you'd never know. I was protecting him.
Us.
The split came then. The Highwire Act where right and wrong blurred like heat haze on I-85. Jack chose exile, neither side. Just gone. Backpack slung for a solo hike in the Smokies. To think. Emily fled to her parents, who lawyered up against each other.
Me?
I drove home alone. The lake shrinking in the rearview. Wondering if I'd won, or just widened the grave. Twist landed weeks later. A postcard from Jack. Postmarked Asheville, Mom. Found Tom's other stash, clean money. Hidden in safety deposit box. Enough for a fresh start. Emily's pregnant. Our kid. Don't hate her, she chose wrong. Like we all did. Forgive? Maybe. Fight? Never again.
Love. Jack. Pregnant.
The word hit like lightning in clear sky. Life from ashes. Betrayal birthing hope. I smiled. Finally genuine. As fireflies danced in the yard. Revenge? It had cost us all. Jack's trust. Emily's polish. My secrets spilled like cheap wine. But in the end, no one's hands were clean. No villain pure. We were just Americans, tangled in our own webs, clawing for dawn. Was it happy?
B?
You tell me. I drove to the cemetery that night, Tom's stone mossy under moonlight. We made it, old man. Messy as hell, but breathing. And for the first time in decades, the smile stuck, not calm, but cracked wide with something like peace.